Okay, the big story that has the one place in the world with more MS patients than anywhere else talking today is a study co-authored out of UBC and the University of Saskatchewan. One, the theory that constricted neck veins somehow are to blame or cause multiple sclerosis? No, that is not valid in science. Two, the narrowed neck veins, as prescribed by an Italian researcher, remember Paolo Zamboni, what he called the chronic cerebrospinal venous insufficiency, or CCSVI? On his definition of what a CCSVI case was, how narrowed your neck veins would be, the researchers found, using a direct visualization of veins, actually using a very high-tech type of science, only 3 people had this. And the 3, one of them had MS, one of them was a sibling, and one of them didn't have any MS at all. So the issue then of not severely constricted, but narrowed neck veins, well, this is the big one. They found that narrowed neck veins are very, very common. We all have them, or at least over 70% of us has them, and there's no specific predilection toward MS patients any more than any others. In a couple of minutes here, we're going to meet an MS patient who went away, as many, many thousands of you did, for what was called liberation therapy. In other words, the widening of those constricted neck veins. Now, this detailed report appeared in yesterday's edition of the British medical journal, The Lancet. Now, how you could be in The Lancet yesterday and detailed release at UBC, the lead author, Dr. Anthony Tralbusi, spoke to the media for an hour yesterday. He laid it all out in absolutely clear terms. So the co-author of all of this is from the U of S, Catherine Knox, well-known MS researcher. So with the usual degree of competence I have come to expect, and it is incompetence from the Saskatoon Health Region and the University of Saskatchewan, they didn't say anything yesterday. So at UBC, Dr. Tralbusi is talking to the media for an hour. It will not be until today anybody puts Catherine Knox up. But that is so much, oh God, the Saskatoon Health Region and the U of S. So let's go to Anthony Tralbusi. He spoke about those 3 findings. CCSVI does not cause MS. Narrowing of the veins is very common, and only 3 people in the entire test group had what Dr. Zamboni defined as CCSVI. Here's Anthony Tralbusi.
Because we found so few people had the Zamboni-defined CCSVI catheter tomography, we wondered what was being treated at vascular clinics around the world, and were these clinics, these private clinics, using a different definition for CCSVI. We therefore used a different definition, what we call a real-world definition, to see if that could help us understand what was being done. And we defined that as narrowing of a vein, leading from the neck, so the jugular veins or the azygos vein, of more than 50%. We would call that a narrowing. And in that case, we did see now that about 74% of people with MS had narrowing. Again, to our surprise, we found very similar numbers in siblings with 66% and unrelated volunteers having about 70% of them having these narrowings. So there weren't really any significant differences between the 3 groups. So using the best methods available, we were unable to confirm Dr. Zamboni's theory that MS is caused by CCSVI. And our conclusion is that the narrowing of the neck veins are common and a normal finding in most people. Now, we are very sensitive. We recognize that for many people with MS, this will be a great disappointment. Many people are hoping that this was really a breakthrough in terms of knowledge of MS, but unfortunately, Dr. Zamboni's original work cannot be validated using the best quality techniques available. We do believe that our study illustrates the need for carefully designed and high-quality research to fully investigate any new theory of MS. This whole issue around CCSVI has been very polarizing, and there's been very strong opinions, such as this one that has come out, We set forth a mandate when this issue came up in 2009 to fully investigate not only the theory of CCSVI, but the treatment that's been referred to as liberation treatment. And sometimes these things can become separated in time, and what we found is that although CCSVI is defined by Zamboni, doesn't really exist by his definition, we still have a situation where thousands of Canadians have gone abroad and have had a treatment done, which is dilation usually of the veins in their neck. And through social media and registries, many of them reported significant improvement. Now, it's possible that the treatment effect, should it exist, is independent of the original theory, and that's just by happenstance. There is this different mechanism that's working. We've discussed this through our steering committee of the study, and most of us, all of us actually felt that because of the need to continue to address what patients are interested in, something that might improve their symptoms, we felt it was ethical and important to continue with the study as planned. So again, although the CCSVI theory, as proposed by Dr. Zamboni as a cause of MS, doesn't seem, again, I agree that that does not appear to be the case. We're still in a situation where people have reported benefit from a procedure done to their neck, and we want to pursue that at the request of our patients. If the original theory is now faulty, why continue down this pathway? And again, it's not unprecedented in medicine where a wrong theory was disproven, but it led to something that was beneficial to patients. And so I'm really basing this on the observation and the information we collected that patients have reported benefit from something being done. And so if we separate that from the theory that led to that treatment, I think it justifies going forward. But I'll be honest, I don't fully understand how they're feeling better. Is it some kind of stimulation of the vagus nerve? Releasing some cytokines from the vein? I'm really not sure, and that's what we'll learn from this whole experiment. I think the easy thing to do, and the convenient thing people would like to do, is just discount this all as a placebo effect. That is, people believe they're getting a helpful treatment, and psychologically they're feeling better. I think that's being a bit patronizing to people, and I think we need to do the proper research to fully address if there is any treatment benefit, and if we determine a treatment benefit, then we have to figure out why. Why are people benefiting from this?
Dr. Anthony Trelbulsi, the lead researcher in this